Hello and welcome to this tutorial focused on how to enhance your controls and have better control over your web camera in Dragonframe software. Now, Dragonframe is the industry standard software that's made for Mac, Windows, and Linux. And one of the great things about this software is it has a lot of functionality. Now, some of the bad things about this software, well, there's not that many bad things, but honestly, there are some things that are missing. And one of those would be precise control for web cameras, and also a few tweaks that need to be made so that way you can actually utilize the web camera for professional use, or just to reduce things such as flicker and light shifts and color shifting while you're doing your animation. So that's basically what this tutorial is, brought to you by Stop Motion University, and let's jump forward and into what's going on here. So the first page that you see here is the Dragonframe.com website, and this is where you get the software from. Very self-explanatory. Just go here and you can get trial versions, and you can also purchase and download the real versions, plus there's tutorials and other things. Now, web cameras come in all sorts of sizes and flavors. I am using a Logitubo camera, and specifically this Logitubo camera, which is a 1080p native camera. It shoots a little bit bigger than 1080p, but that's something you have to tweak within Dragonframe. And also, something to point out, this camera has a manual focus lens. So the lens actually allows you to physically focus in on your subject matter, whereas a standard normal web camera, let's say like this one here, is autofocus, and this causes a lot of problems when you're shooting animation. So honestly, this is one of your first challenges. If you're going to shoot with a web camera, get a camera that has a manual focus lens. Okay. So, and also I should point out, this camera is fairly cheap in the way of cameras and offers a good quality. Now, if you wanted the Mac Daddy of all cameras currently while I'm making this tutorial, it would be a Logitech Brio, which actually shoots 4K. It's a 4K Ultra HD camera, and how you would use this camera is you would need to use a USB 3 input device, such as like a PCIe card going into a Mac, or a computer that has a PCI USB 3 capability, and be able to connect this camera to that device, your computer. Currently, I am not using one of these. These are amazing cameras though, but you're also stuck with autofocus. So how do you avoid the autofocus dilemma? Well, I'm going to show you. And also I need to point out, we are using a Mac for this tutorial. We are not using a PC or Linux device. So this tutorial specifically is for Mac. Now, you may find an option for fixing this type of issues, but by using an app for your PC. But for right now, we're focused on Macs. So, okay, I'm going to close Safari out because we don't need that anymore. Let's jump ahead. Now, in the App Store on Macs, let me find my App Store. Here we go. You want to look up webcam settings, and you'll find 3 different apps. These 2 apps are actually the ones that we're going to focus on, specifically this app here. Basically, all 3 of these apps do the same identical thing. The only difference is this is for Logitech cameras, this one here, and these 2 are for just generic cameras, including Logitech. They basically offer the same functionality, but the most popular of the 2, or of the 3, is actually this webcam settings. Well, technically, Logitech is the favored one. But between these 2, this is the favored one. And in all honesty, many people actually dump this Logitech camera settings plugin or app and go for this webcam settings app. I've seen it in many forums, and that's what they talk about, is this specific tool. And you'll see that it is $7.99 here. I already purchased it, so it's saying open, but it's $7.99. So it's already on my system. That's the software we're going to use. Now, to get to that software, I'm going to open up my applications folder, which my computer is taking a moment to actually get let's see if I can get Finder. There we go. Applications folder, and I'm going to go down till I get to webcam settings. Double click on that, and it will open up here. Okay, it's there. Also, I need to open up Dragonframe. So Dragonframe, and let's create a new scene, and we're going to call this, it's already set up for me. Let's take scene 1, and take 1, frame rate is 12. Okay. I'm going to save it to my hard drive, 250 gigabytes, because I'm not really doing much, and it should automatically sense my camera. Now, video asset source is USB Live Camera 2, and of course the high definition. Now, You might not notice this. This looks like it's 16 by 9, but in all honesty, this is a small resolution frame, meaning it's actually capturing at 640. It's not capturing 1920 by 1080, which it should be. To change this, I need to go up here and go to Capture and go to Video Settings. And you'll see I have USB live camera number 2. It's shooting highest quality, but it's also shooting the input size at 640 by 360. I don't want this. For professional use, you want the highest quality possible. Just in general, you want the highest quality possible, so that way you can always have the best most crisp image, or crispest. That's why I can't pronounce that word, but the crispest image you can possibly get. Crispiest. There we go. That's a better word. And you'll see here I can go to 1920 by 1080, which is the advertised resolution of the camera, but it actually shoots higher than that, which is actually a 4:3 aspect ratio. Okay, and you'll see here, there you go. That is my frame. Now I'm going to stick something in here so we can actually play around with this. The first thing is one of these focus dots for that comes with the hard copy of Dragonframe. So if you order a physical copy, you get this kind of this little focus dot, or focus target is what we call them. And you'll see that it's in focus pretty much. My focus lens allows me to tweak, and I can focus in and out and get into some serious focus there. Okay, it's sorry for the little wobbliness there. Let's see, touch it and make it reduce. Okay. Then you also notice that I have all these controls here in Dragonframe, and you would think that this would be great, but honestly, they're very limited. If I click on any of these, I can't get any numerical controls like 1 to 100, none of that stuff. So to actually get better control over this, over the camera, I need to actually go into the app. So I'm going to show webcam settings, and there we go. I have the app. Now, first things first, I'm going to unclick autofocus, and I'm going to unclick white balance. Now, if you notice here, the white balance, it actually changes color. Let's put a piece of white paper here so you can see what's going on. The auto exposure deals with the amount of luminance or light that's coming into the lens and controls the ability to actually capture the image, whereas white balance controls how much white is coming into the scene. So you see here we have a great deal of white in the scene, and it's white balance to that. If I stick something blue like this into the scene, you'll notice that the colors have shifted a lot. Now imagine putting your hand into a scene and pulling your hand away, or adding a puppet of color or whatever, and it's going to change as you start animating and moving your hand and stuff. This causes flicker. The same thing's true for auto exposure. You don't want those two settings on. Remove that thing, we get back to the white balance. Now I'm going to leave the white piece of paper there, and I'm going to turn off white balance, auto white balance there. And I also have that function here. If I go to aperture priority on the app, it actually does the manual settings. We don't want, or sorry, automatic settings. We don't want those. We want the manual settings. So here we are, we're in manual. I was already kind of tweaking with this earlier. So you'll see a couple of settings already kind of adjusted in here. But for the most part, we can play with it now. So if I'm in manual, I can literally hit this exposure and I can get a numeric readout. I can actually control this to whatever I want. Let's go down to 10, make it dark. Let's go to 5,000 and make it extremely bright. Whoa, too much. So let's go back to 117, which was somewhere in the nice range. All right, to get out of these, you just click the name again and boom, you're out. Now let's study a little bit about white balance. This is green, this is magenta, this is blue, this is yellow. All right, because we turned off auto white balance, we're no longer going to get a color shifting. So we need to stabilize our color to actually be more in the balanced range. If I put my hand here, you can see the shadows are green. You don't want that. Your shadows actually want to be a balance between 4 colors there, between the green, magenta, blue, and yellow. So if I pull my little controller this way, I'm reducing the amount of green and adding magenta. Same thing here. If I pull it this way, I'm reducing the amount of blue and adding yellow. We can balance these out, and I can stick my hand back in here, and you can see the shadows literally will get less and less green, or more and more blue, depending on what you're doing here. Okay. I like the saturated look. And I'm going to keep that. Now, let's add the blue thing I had in earlier. It's going to be green, right? Now, why is that? Now, the reason is because we're dealing with the balance between these different things. If I reduce my saturation, I can make it look a little, I can fake it a little, but if I increase it, I'm really going to be able to look at where that color is and try to get it more into the blue. It doesn't love me, and of course it's not easy. And if I go add something that's green, it's going to be really green. So your eyes are probably bouncing out of your head at this point. But in all honesty, it's a really difficult thing to just do in one single sitting of a tutorial. But we can actually get pretty close. And there we go. My hand is in here. Let's see, my shadows are probably about that. All right, and that is pretty close to a good representation of what is in the camera. We have blue, we have green, we have white. Okay, and then a balance. If I add saturation to this, it's really going to pop the colors out. Okay, so there we go. Let's just take this green and this blue right out of here. We don't need that anymore. Keep my white balance sheet in the shot, and look at the other functions. Now I can save my profile, and let's save it as test. Or let's name it something nice. Webcam 002. That should be fine. There we go. And now I have those, and I can load at start if I want to. I can also delete the function. And here we also have advanced functions, which this controls like the power line frequency, which also can reduce flicker. So if you're getting flicker from your web camera, you might want to control these. See, it even says anti-flicker. And then, of course, backlight compensation, which you probably don't even need to deal with. Leave it at its lowest settings while you're shooting. And then preferences, of course, that type of stuff. Now let's do apply here. Just make sure it's set. I'm going to close that out. I'm going to close this out. And now I'm going to show you one more thing. If I go into the camera settings function up here in the upper right hand corner, you'll notice that there's a bunch of settings for your camera. These do absolutely nothing other than the format output. Okay, TIFF and fine JPEGs. And then of course you have this averaging. Don't mess with the averaging. Just notice that you either have a fine JPEG or a TIFF compression. That's it. That's all you get in Dragonframe. Of course you get this little color reading, but it's useless for you at this point, you know. My live view right now is set to 1280 by 960, which sounds a little crazy to me because since we went up here in the capture settings, and we'll just make double sure that is what it's set at, but it's not set to that. You see what I mean? So you're going to get a little confused looking at this and trying to change settings. These do absolutely nothing for you right now. Okay. But that being said, we can start animating and get no flicker. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a car. Let's add a little blue car here to the scene. All right, we got a blue car, and I'm just going to do a couple little frames moving it forward. Let's do a little bit of that, and here we go. I took my first frame, right? Whoops, I'm not even in Dragonframe. Here we go. Boom. One frame, and it gives me a warning. That's what I expected. And this will tell you to look in the cinematography window, which is here. It does absolutely nothing for you to be in that window, so ignore it. Now, I took one frame, I'm going to move forward, and I have my onion skinning on. So, just move forward, shot, move forward, shot, move forward, take a shot, collide with this thing here, take a shot, and keep going. And there we go. Quick animation. All right, and I have no flicker, I have no light shifting, and I have no color shifting. And that, my friends, is how you set up and get the best quality out of your regular web camera and make sure that you can control the settings and tweak it as much as you possibly want. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This was for the Stop Motion University school online. You can go visit that school if you aren't currently a student at stopmotionuniversity.com and check out what we offer, both free and paid courses that are available to anybody that's interested. And with that, I will hopefully see you in the future. Thanks.